The standard understanding of how we make decisions is that we always behave with a rational self-interest. So this idea that we will always choose the product based on wanting to maximise our own utility. That might be our income or our well-being. What behavioural science does is it challenges actually what influences those decisions. So it challenges this notion that we have very deep preferences for particular products or services, and that actually our choices are shaped by the environment in which we make those decisions.
The standard economic model works absolutely perfectly in a world full of robots. If you adjust those models to actually think about a world where humans exist and humans who, have all sorts of issues, then if you're thinking about government policy or if you're thinking about the private sector selling to people, having a sustainable business, then you need to understand the fundamental unit, which is the human.
Behavioural science is a discipline between two types of project. One project being the natural sciences of the brain, biology, experimental psychology, where we're using lab methods and neuroscience methods to understand how the brain works. And on the other hand, you've got the social sciences, which is understanding how people work together, how they work in organisations, how whole societies are organised, how economies work. So it's really the bridge between those two disciplines that's using natural science, experimental, psychological tools to understand the foundations of social and economic behaviour.
If we think about some of the biggest social issues of our time, most of these problems at the heart of them have people. It's the decisions that we make on a daily basis that lead to many of these issues and causes, such as, say, obesity or rising global temperatures, or maybe people not saving for the future enough. Therefore, in order to address these problems, we need to better understand what is actually driving these decisions, what's driving these behaviours in real life, and therefore use those principles to design better policies, better programs, better products, services that help people help themselves and guide and support people in making better decisions.
When people talk about nudges, they imply that these are all small things. Actually, some behaviour change things can lead to enormous changes. For me, the number one example is the auto-enrollment in pensions. So basically, a simple thing like changing the default. So if you're in a pension scheme, you'll be enrolled in it by your private sector employer until such time as you decide to opt out. That's meant that vast numbers of people will have pensions and savings for their old age, which they wouldn't have had before. It means they won't be falling back on the state, they won't be in pensioner poverty. And when you work out from the standard economics models how much it would have cost to get that behaviour changed using the standard tools, for example, tax reliefs on savings, the answer is billions and billions of pounds.
You look at pretty much any government department, certainly in the UK, and you can see how behavioural science is being used in practice. In areas like education and skills, we're looking at new ways of encouraging young people to stick at their education programmes and to improve their attainment. So you can start to see that behavioural science is being used across all of policy and the wider economy too.
So one particularly spectacularly successful example is the plastic bag tax. We would expect, on a purely economic analysis, that charging people a small amount for a plastic bag would have almost no impact at all. But from a behavioural point of view, what a plastic bag tax is a little signal saying you should not use plastic bags. And when you use a plastic bag, you feel vaguely embarrassed and you feel that you shouldn't be doing it, and you feel socially a bit awkward with the checkout person being given the plastic bag, and you apologise and you say, oh, I'll bring my own bags the next time. And it's these behavioural factors that mean that in fact, very rapidly, plastic bag consumption has gone down to about 20% across the UK of what it used to be. So this is a dramatic change which would be impossible to predict from an economic analysis, but from a behavioural point of view makes a lot of sense.
Fundamentally, this is a live or die decision. If you're not up with the best techniques in decision making, your business will eventually die and be taken over by a business that's worked it all out.
It feels, I think at the moment, that we're still in the foothills of its practice, and that we're developing new methods, new techniques, that we'll start to do it in a much more sophisticated way across the board over the coming years.
given the importance of it across so many different domains, it shouldn't be something for a small minority that have maybe that knowledge and their expertise. Helping people understand their own psychology, their own behaviour, why they make certain decisions is an incredibly empowering thing. I think the more people that we can help develop that understanding, then the better it will be for us as a society.